Hey witches, welcome back to my channel. On today's video we're going to talk about beta readers, specifically who they are and what they do and where to find them. For those of you who are new to my channel, my name is Deidre and this is Wordy Witch Writes. We are following my journey to hopefully one day leave teaching and become a full-time independent author. I'm shooting for the fall of 2026. And on this channel, we're just going through the process of writing books, editing them, publishing them, finding readers, all of that good stuff. My hope is that I make all the mistakes so you don't have to. Let's just jump right into today's video. Hopefully you've finished revising your manuscript, or you're in the process of revising your manuscript and you are now starting to think about your next steps for your manuscript, which I suggest is finding beta readers. So let's very quickly just talk about what a beta reader is. So a beta reader is a volunteer who reads your not professionally edited manuscript to give you feedback on plot holes, character inconsistencies, and any pacing issues or elements that just aren't making sense within your manuscript that you may have missed or you're too close to your manuscript to understand. Typically you want to find a beta reader that is passionate or at least reads in your genre or understands what your genre is. If you're writing for me specifically, since I'm writing in paranormal, I need to make sure that the people that are reading it enjoy reading paranormal stories. It's not everybody's cup of tea. They are not professional editors. They should be somebody that's in your target audience. People you can ask are friends and family, fans. If you already have a mailing list, using that mailing list to find beta readers is great. I don't have a mailing list yet, guys. Spoiler, so I can't use that option, but that is something that I am working on, and hopefully I'll make a video about how it's going in a little bit. Not sure when. We'll see. You can also ask members of the writing community. So if you're part of a writing group, you can ask them to be members of your beta reader team. You can also just find potential readers. The way that I like to do this is on Facebook. I didn't do that this time because I have like a solid team now that I have like 3 novels out. But when I first started going onto Facebook into those reader groups, there are tons and tons and tons of reader groups on Facebook, and there are tons and tons that are targeted to every specific genre out there. So if you're struggling to find beta readers, you don't have a lot of friends and family that read, or you write in a very niche genre and you need very targeted people to read that's someplace that I would start with. Or you can go on Reddit or forums like that. Beta readers are not professional editors, so you can't expect them to give you a fully edited manuscript back. I'm lucky enough that 2 of my beta readers are English teachers, and I have no doubt they're going to let me know if there's grammar issues, and I hope that they do. So if you guys are watching, thank you in advance. They are not proofreaders. They are not guaranteed to give you kind or positive feedback. I mean, most of your beta readers probably will. They'll probably do what is known as the compliment sandwich, where they'll give you a compliment, they'll tell you what's wrong, and then they'll end hopefully with what's right. That's how been my experience in the past with beta readers. You also need to make sure that you understand that they're not obligated to love your work. They aren't your mom. My mom is one of my beta readers, but she's very honest with me about my writing. But a lot of people's moms would just be like, oh my god, I love it, and then hang it on the fridge. They're not going to necessarily have to do that, and you just need to be prepared for that when you give them your manuscript. So we've already kind of talked about where to find them. Another place that you can, and I should have mentioned this before, look for is on Upwork. I personally don't believe in paying for a beta reader, but some people do. You just have to be careful with what you get on there. I would make sure that they have good reviews for beta reading before hiring them. And you don't have to pay a lot of money. I've seen jobs on Upwork that are like $10 for a beta read. Just be careful because sometimes it's for 5,000 words, and so it goes up very quickly from there. So just be careful. I think that's more on Fiverr than on Upwork. But once you have found your beta readers, you do need to decide two things. You need to decide how you're going to get them your manuscript, and you're also going to need how you're going to ask the questions, because it's very important. This is the teacher in me. If you give somebody a manuscript and you tell me what to think, they're either going to tell you if they liked it or if they didn't like it, but they're not going to be able to give you specifics about it. If you give them specific questions or guiding questions, they're going to be able to hopefully narrow down what they were thinking so they can better help you grow your manuscript. So there are two ways of doing this. You can ask them whole manuscript questions, which they read the whole manuscript and then they go back through and answer these questions, or you can ask them chapter by chapter questions. I do a little bit of both. So in the past, I've only asked whole manuscript questions, and I've been really disappointed in my results. Some people are really good about like giving me detailed feedback, but I would say like over half my beta readers would just like give me one-word responses. They're busy people, so I wanted to start asking more specific targeted questions about chapters, but my book right now is sitting at 32 chapters, and I know that several of my beta readers are not going to have time. 2 of them are teachers, so they're busy teaching books and also raising families and dealing with all this other stuff. One of my beta readers is a very busy mother with 3 little boys, so I know that she's probably not going to have time to sit down and write detailed feedback about every single chapter. And then so I just want to make sure that I'm balancing out my expectations with what my readers are capable of. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask whole manuscript questions, and then for chapters that I know that I need specific help with because I'm doubting them or they're not making sense to me, but I don't know how else to fix it, that's when I'm going to ask those targeted questions, and I'm going to limit it to just a couple. So questions for whole manuscript, I have 15, but like my top 5 are: did the small town or cozy setting feel authentic and well developed? Can you give me specific examples? And then were there any paranormal rules or concepts that confused you? Did the resolution of both the mystery and any paranormal conflicts feel satisfying? Were there any characters, human or supernatural, you'd like to see more in the future books? And did the humor and lightheartedness balance well with the mystery and paranormal elements? So those are examples of questions that I would ask at the end of the read. And then chapter-specific ones. So I have so far like 5 chapters that I've tagged that I've edited, and I'm kind of like iffy on. I had to do like major rewrites on them to make them fit into the story or make it flow better, because I was realizing that I was like just doing like day by day things that didn't really add to the story. So that's a whole nother discussion. But did the chapter advance both the mystery plot and the paranormal storyline? Were there any clues or red herrings introduced in this chapter? Did the dialogue feel natural for both humans and supernatural characters? Did you learn anything new about the protagonist's abilities? And how did the chapter end? Did it create suspense and intrigue for the next chapter? So that's my those are my 5 biggest concerns for those chapters. And there's a few that I'm looking at other elements in it, but I'm giving my readers specific questions to help guide their feedback so they can better help me. I think a lot of people I've talked to author-wise say they give a manuscript to someone and they don't get good feedback. And that has been my experience, so I'm trying to be more targeted in my questions so my readers can better help me, and I know that they want to help me with my book, so that is why I'm doing it this way. The other thing that you have to decide once you've decided how you're going to guide your readers through your book is how you're going to get them your book. In the past, I literally would just print out my manuscript. I'd try to make it somewhat big font, but big enough that if they wanted to leave comments in the margin, they can. But that was a lot of paper, and it was hard to bind and all of these things, and it was getting pretty expensive. So what I'm going to do this round is I'm going to send it digitally, but I'm going to do it through an app called BookFunnel. It is a paid service. I'm doing just the first time author. It's $20 for a whole year. I feel like it has the opportunity to actually start building my mailing list because I don't have one of those, and apparently you need one. It's a conversation for another video. But also 90% of my readers read on a Kindle or on their phone, have an app on their phone they can read on, things like that. So this is an app that they can download onto their device, and then they can just read it there. And I'm going to send the questions in a Google form or a Google Doc, and they're going to be able to answer those questions as on there, and then I will be able to compile all the information onto a spreadsheet later on. That way that it's not like hard for them, it's not taking up time, it's not taking up paper, and all of these different elements. There was another app that I was almost going to use called Story Origin. The reason I chose not to use it, even though Story Origin does have like a beta reader specific setup to it where it compiles all the information for you, the reason I chose not to do it is because you have to read the book in the web browser, and I just didn't feel like that was friendly enough for my beta readers. I wanted them to be able to easily access the information without having to, I don't know, do too much work. They're already doing me this huge favor by reading my manuscript and giving me feedback. Final tips are make sure that some of your readers do read in your genre. So again, go onto Facebook, go onto Reddit, find people. It might be strangers. That's another good thing about BookFunnel is that you don't have to send them like a PDF or a Word doc. It sends them like an EPUB style like book to them, and they just get a link. And so for people who are worried about your book getting stolen, it's really hard because it's all on there and it's not going to get that. You need to provide clear expectations and deadlines for your readers. So that's what the questions are for, and the deadline needs to be realistic. So I'm starting to hand out my manuscript hopefully this week, no later than the 26th, which is next Sunday. And I'm giving them a whole month to read it. Because like I've said, they're all busy people. I don't expect them to drop their whole lives to read my book for me. I just appreciate them volunteering to read my book for them, or read my book for me. But I also need that stuff back. I imagine most of them are probably going to give it back to me much sooner, but I've filled my February schedule to not even worry about the beta feedback until the end of the month, and I'm going to be focusing on book 3 in the series. So be realistic in your deadlines, but make sure that you do provide deadlines, and just send a reminder if you're not getting your like a couple weeks out, like, hey, I hope you're enjoying the book. If you've had a chance to read it, I can't wait to hear your feedback. Something like that, so they know that as like a reminder. You can offer small compensation to ensure commitment. I'm going to give all of my beta readers a free signed copy of my book when it does become available, when it's finally officially published. You can also buy them coffee. You can pay them. So if you go through Upwork, you will have to pay them. Those are just ideas that you have. Coffee, gift cards, things like that. And then make sure, the most important thing that you do, you need to make sure that you're open to the constructive criticism. So you need to make sure that you understand that if they tell you that they didn't like something, it's not a personal attack on you or your book. It's just something that they didn't understand, and you have a chance to fix it now. You also need to balance out the criticism. If it's just one person having issues with one character, but everybody else of your beta readers, that's why you get more than one. Likes your beta reader or likes that character, you don't need to worry about changing it. But if everybody is saying the same thing consistently about somebody or something, you probably need to look at it critically and see how you can fix it. Hopefully one of your beta readers gave you the suggestions on how to do that. Make sure that you have beta readers, especially if you're going to send this off to a professional editor, because an editor will appreciate having as clean a manuscript as you are able to provide. especially if you're skipping developmental editing and going straight to line editing or copy editing, which is a conversation for a future video if you don't know what those types of editings are. But it'll save you money in the end if you're able to just have a very clean manuscript that needs to be touched up by a professional. Okay guys, so we talked today about beta readers, where to find them, and how to use them. Hopefully you have success with your beta readers. I would love to hear your feedback, your experiences with beta readers. Maybe I have been doing it wrong and you have better suggestions for me. Maybe you're interested in being a beta reader for one of my future novels. You can go ahead and leave a comment and then below, and I will be happy to read them and reach out to you. Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you can stay tuned for my upcoming videos and all that I have planned and all the mistakes I plan on making. Alright, witches, I'll talk to you later.